How tight on me are you? Like, will you pick up Aaron in the camera? No, you're fine. I just want you to know.
Just don't pick your nose.
Yeah, if you're on camera, you don't want to. Okay. Anyway, I don't really see you jumping up to grab some snacks. So we walk and grab them anyway.
All right, let's get started. We'd like to welcome you to our special city council meeting today.
Kara, are you good?
Should have asked for 3
You
seconds.
good?
Give me a second.
You gave it one.
She asked us.
When I say, "Are you good?" then you say yes, and you want a second. Yeesh. You ready? Okay. All right, welcome to our city council meeting on the special council meeting to fill a candidate vacancy. So before we get started, I've asked Councilmember Mendenhall to offer us a prayer.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this day. We're grateful for the opportunity to be together again and discuss the affairs of this city. We're grateful for all of those that are here with us and their intention and their ability to put in to serve their city. We're grateful for all that serve in our community, for the public safety department, for our firefighters, for our cops, for all those that are protecting us in our daily lives and the happiness that we enjoy in Spanish Fork. Please be with us tonight. Have thy Spirit watch over this meeting, that we'll be able to make correct decisions that are pleasing unto thee, and that we'll be able to move this city forward and continue the progress that we enjoy. We're grateful for all of our blessings. Ask a special blessing to resolve the drought that we're currently in, and that we will receive moisture soon to be able to help our fields, help our city, and help everyone in this desert climate. We're grateful again for all of our blessings. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I've asked Councilman Gordon to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Would the audience please rise and repeat the pledge after me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay, just a little how this is going to proceed. Each of us will come up in order was chosen. We're going to follow the Lieutenant Governor's order of how everyone's going to be picked to come up and speak to us. So we'll put that up. Also, you'll get 3 questions. You get 2 minutes for each question. We're going to start at this end. She'll ask you the first question, then you have 2 minutes. When you're getting close to your time, Nick will say 30 seconds. When 2 minutes hit, I'm going to raise my hand and I'll stop you. You know, I wanted to say you're disqualified if you go over 2, but they outvoted me, but I'll just raise my hand and say.
So under 2.
So anyway, that's how it'll go, just so you know. And we'll go to that point after everybody has had a chance. We'll follow this order. And then after that, we'll have the vote, and I'll explain how the voting will go after we get through all the questions. So the first on our list here is Brett Bills. Oh, sorry. I missed, that's why I got these 4. There you go. Cameron Carr. So come on up here. Sorry about that. And Stacy will ask the first question. Once she's done asking the question, the clock will start and you'll have your 2 minutes.
Hi, Cameron. Hi. What do you want us to know about you today?
So, my name is Cameron Picaro. I've lived in Spanish Fork since 1995. I graduated from Spanish Fork High School in 2009. I graduated with an Associate of Science degree from UVU in 2012, and in 2016 I received a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Utah, specifically in Film and Media Arts. In 2009, I received my Eagle Scout Award. Specifically, my Eagle Scout project was helping the city get enough people signed up for the curbside recycling program. At the time, I believe it was 1,000 households that had signed up. We got us past the 1,400 household limit that was required by Allied Waste. So that's the same curbside recycling program that's going on today. I currently work as an IT administrator in Western Botanicals. It's the north end of town. It's just north of the new hospital. We currently have around 50 employees. And
Mayor, so what's your vision of the future of Spanish Fork?
so looking forward, I'm seeing that Spanish Fork is growing, and the decisions that the council is making right now are going to echo into the next decade, if not the next century. Currently, we're going to see an increase in this decade of population of about 10,000 new citizens in Spanish Fork. And during that same period, we will see Utah County increase by 150,000 people. So I believe that we have a duty to preserve what we love about this city for both lifelong residents and new residents. This includes the natural scenery, recreation, the green areas that we have around town. And you know, growth is, it's natural and it's inevitable. We must adapt to keep Spanish Fork a great place to live. That's kind of where I see the city going.
Great.
All right, Cameron, the third question is why you? Help us know what sets you apart from the others who have applied for this position.
So what I lack in experience in the public sector, I make up for in integrity, vision, and love of teamwork. I'm willing to compromise. There are many right ways to do something. It doesn't necessarily have to be mine. I'm quite studious about learning, making sure that I know the most about a subject before I make a decision. I'm willing to limit myself in the amount of time that I have, but my personal views may not be the correct one or even the best one. I'm willing to look at what other people have to say to kind of inform my own decision. And I kind of have a jack of all trades flexibility that I'm quite proud of. It's one of those things where, you know, jack of all trade, master of none is oftentimes better than master of one. That's kind of where I fit in with all the things I've done, and I see that as a benefit to the city.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right.
Thanks, Cameron.
And were there
Thank you.
any additional questions after that?
Oh, we're
Not
just
yet.
going to go through all the questions here, so that'd be great. All right, and I should have said before we started, thank you for all applying. You know, I commend you for doing that. It takes a lot of courage, and I appreciate everybody that, I feel everybody ought to have an opportunity to serve the city, and thank you for putting your names out there and doing this. Okay, now we'll go to Brett Bills.
Absent.
Not here, okay. Well then, how about Scott Nielsen?
Thanks, I appreciate being here.
Thank you, Scott. What do you want us to know about you?
Spanish Fork resident, been here 20 years, originally from Sanpete County. I'm the National Guard, I'm a combat vet, I'm an intelligence officer. Currently, I'll be leaving the National Guard, retiring from the Guard here in about another month or two. My wife Camille is from Spanish Fork, and I've been an elected official before. I was elected to the Utah State Board of Education. In 2016, I represented both Provo and Nebo school districts up in Salt Lake on the state board, where I was the vice chair of the finance committee. And I love Spanish Fork, and I want to keep it going. I'm very passionate about government, politics, and I've been very impressed with the way that the city's going, and I want to be a part of the future direction in which the city goes. So that's not a perfect answer, but
So what you said, the future, let's hear about what is your vision for the future?
Spanish Fork is growing, but I just want to echo that. I feel like this is the best community in the county, maybe in the state, and my vision for the future is to provide that small town feel, and at the same time understand that growth is going to come and that it's inevitable. But I view that as a positive thing. I really do. I view that as a strong point that we can attract very strong businesses and outside people to come and want to live here to help build our community and help make us all better. And so my vision is to make that happen while also maintaining the integrity we have and the small town feel we have here in the city. So.
You mentioned the third question is what sets you apart. You mentioned there's probably not another combat veteran in here. We used to have one, but Keir's gone.
Yeah.
And so what sets you apart specifically from maybe serving in this role in the city from other candidates?
I'm an educator. I teach at Maple Mountain. I teach U.S. government and history at Maple Mountain High School. I have great relationships. While I was a member of the state school board, I have great relationships with the Nebo School Board. I know all of them. I know the superintendent extremely well. We're very good friends. I also have very strong relationships with our elected officials because in my school board capacity, I worked with now Senator McKell, House Majority Leader Francis Gibson, very close friends of mine. I've worked with them extensively, and I feel like those relationships with those people will also be a great advantage to the city because I've been down those roads before, and we have very great relationships with them and with the residents here. I'm a school teacher here, and I love it here, and I know so many parents that I also work with, and so I feel like that's a great advantage. Not that I'm special, but
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you,
Great,
Scott.
appreciate that. Thanks, Scott. All right, Kevin Euler.
Mr. Kevin, what do you want us to know about you?
My name's Kevin Euler, and I grew up here in Spanish Fork, but probably in a way that was a little different from most. I don't know too many people that I've talked to that would say they grew up in a family where the city budget was talked about around the dinner table. Spanish Fork really is a part of me. It's who I am. It's part of my identity, and I'm proud to tell people that I am from Spanish Fork. 4 years ago, I got a phone call from Mayor Leifson that kind of changed the direction of my life. He asked if I'd be willing to serve on the Planning Commission. And immediately I said yes, even before asking my wife, because I knew it was something I wanted to do. I was honored that Mayor Leifson even considered me and was willing to give me that opportunity to serve. And it's been a great opportunity over the last 4 years to really learn firsthand how the city works and to see how they manage growth and plan for our future. A year ago, I had the opportunity to be elected by my fellow commissioners, planning commissioners, as chair, and that's been a great opportunity to serve. My wife Angela and I are proud parents of 4 great kids. We try and show our kids through the way that we serve and how we live our lives, the importance of loving and serving those around us. One of my favorite opportunities of service has been being a host family for close to a dozen people from countries throughout the world. We've hosted people from Brazil, police officers from Brazil, people from Europe, students from other places. They come to Spanish Fork for the opportunity to learn more about our police force, education, and how our local government runs. I had the opportunity to drive them around town and show them all that Spanish Fork has to offer, and I love serving in the community.
Great. Time's up. Thanks, Kevin. Chad?
Kevin, what's your vision of future of Spanish Fork?
So as I said before, I grew up here in Spanish Fork. My parents live in the old Mitchell subdivision by Brockbank Elementary. And when I turned 19, I had the opportunity to leave Spanish Fork for a couple of years and serve a mission for my church. When I came back, I was shocked to see that the cornfield next to my parents' home was no longer a cornfield. It had been turned into a subdivision. In my mind, Spanish Fork was losing its small town feel, and that bothered me a little bit. Here we are 20 years later, and I look back and realize that all 7 of my parents' kids, myself included, live in homes here in Spanish Fork that not too long ago were in locations that were open, empty fields. My mom would have been heartbroken had a single one of us chosen to move out of Spanish Fork. I've learned while I've been on the Planning Commission that Spanish Fork is a place that people want to move to, but more importantly, it's a place that people want to stay. It's a great place to live. As much as I love and miss the Spanish Fork of my youth, I absolutely love the Spanish Fork of today, and I'm excited about the Spanish Fork of tomorrow. I look forward to the possibility that sometime in the future, my 4 kids will have the opportunity and the ability to live here in Spanish Fork. I've come to realize recently that the small town feel that we have in Spanish Fork doesn't come from the number of people that live here. Instead, it comes from the many great traditions that we have as a city. It comes from Fiesta Days and all the people that serve in that. It comes from taking our families and planting flowers on Main Street. It comes from the Festival of Lights and the Harvest Moon Hurrah, and there's so many other things that we do in our community. As we continue coming together as a community and serving, we will always keep that small town feel, no matter how many residents we are.
Steve?
Okay, why you? What sets you apart from these other?
Why me? It's a great question. I'm the current chair of the Planning Commission, and people have placed their trust in me with that role. And I would like to think that I've worked hard and tried hard to be as fair as possible to all people that come before the Planning Commission and try and find solutions that are beneficial for both sides. I grew up seeing from both of my parents a constant love and a desire to find ways to improve the city. And that's now part of who I am. I'm always looking around the city and thinking that would be great if we did this or that. And always have a growth mindset and looking for ways to improve things. My parents taught me the importance of frugality and living within our means. I've seen how that applies on a city level as well. I know the importance of looking at a budget and making priorities. One thing that sets me apart is that I work with numbers every day. Data is my job, and as an analyst, one of my responsibilities is to audit $50 to $60 million worth of data of commission payouts each month and make sure the numbers match up. As a city, Spanish Fork has a lot of data sources, and we have a large budget, and I can bring information together to help us make the best decisions. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, Kevin.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. Aaron Stern.
Mayor and council.
We know some of you, but the first question, tell us what to know about you. We find out a lot about people when you're sitting up in the council, and so tell us.
Great. My name's Aaron Stern. I've lived here since 2005. My wife and I, we own several businesses on Main Street, another business up on the west or east side of town. We own commercial rentals and residential rentals. I've served on the board of the Chamber of Commerce. I host 2 television shows on SFCN until the COVID interruption. Hopefully we'll get those going here soon. Shooting Straight and Chamber Today. I raised both my children here in Spanish Fork, and I call Spanish Fork home, and quite frankly, I never want to leave. Even going to Provo for me right now is a big journey, and I don't like to make it. But that being said, my name's Aaron, and I'm here to serve.
What's your vision for the future of Spanish?
I think I'm going to echo what a lot of other people have already said, is how do we keep this town with a small town feel while we have growth? I mean, it's important to manage the growth, get out in front of the growth so that we know growth is happening. We know it's inevitable, but how do we guide it and lead it in a way that's beneficial and best for the city? And I think that's pretty much, that starts here with the city council. And that's the most important thing, I think, is to keep Spanish Fork the way it is, but with more people and more business.
Aaron, why you? Help us know what sets you apart from the others who have applied for the position.
I think what sets me apart is, I have a variety of skill sets. I've worked in corporate HR, corporate finance. I've hired and unfortunately fired probably hundreds of people in my career. Up until recently, I worked for large corporations. The last several years we've been doing small business, but I've always kind of kept my finger in the small business side of things. One thing that's really great is we have wonderful candidates up here. I don't think you'd be remiss in choosing anyone here. I think what's best is when you're hiring for a position, you look at what kind of skill sets complement the team. So I think it's up to you guys to figure out, okay, where are we lacking in certain skill sets, who can bring those skill sets to the city council, and then choose from there who in this room best fills that role and that need. So that's my answer.
All right. Hey, thanks, you, Aaron.
Hey, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Jesse Carden.
Hello, Jesse.
Hello.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
First off, it's interesting addressing the chamber or the council without Kier here. Thank Kier for his service, and it's, like I said, a little bit weird. But what I want you to know about me, Jesse, my wife Callie and I, we have 3 6-year-old kids, 2 boys and a girl, and we deliberately chose Spanish Fork for the place that we wanted to raise our family 7 years ago. We wanted a place where we could raise a family that had a sense of community, but also a place that we could be involved in every aspect of what the city does. And since being here, we've done that. As you are well aware, as a council, we've been a part of the city. We've attended the events, attended meetings, did those things. But even more than that, what I want you to know about me is what I do for a career. I run the Plasma Center here in Spanish Fork. But before that, I helped manage the Plasma Center in Orem, Salt Lake, Provo, lots of different places. At the Plasma Center, I have over 100 direct reports. We have over 2,000 donors that come in on a weekly basis, and we manage and make a budget over $7 million every year. That's an important aspect of what we do. But even more important than that is we have to create a sense of community within the 4 walls of that facility. Plasma donation is an invasive process where someone comes and gets stuck with a needle, and we want people to feel like they're a part of that family. And that's what we do. That's what we do on a daily basis and every time someone comes in basis. A part of that, another part of what I do and want you to know about is my activity in the chamber. Ever since we've had a business here in Spanish Fork, we've been very active in the Chamber of Commerce here in the city, and not just active, but taking a forward-thinking role and trying to help the chamber to be better.
What's your vision for Spanish Fork in the future? You're in the business community. Obviously, there's some vision there, but what's your vision overall for Spanish Fork City?
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. My vision for Spanish Fork is we have come from great heritage in Spanish Fork. What has been built in Spanish Fork is amazing. There's a reason why people want to be here. And it's important that as we continue forward, that we remember that past while looking to the future, being deliberate in what we're looking to do in the future, making sure that those that are joining our community, we have a lot of people joining our community right now, but that they feel a part of the community just like my family did when we were embraced by the citizens of Spanish Fork when we came here. As we grow, we also have to make sure that we're looking forward on infrastructure, on parks,
on water rights. That was a big topic of the council meeting last night, is making sure that we're good stewards of our water and our resources, which we have been, but as we grow, it's going to become even more important part of that. We have a budget coming into 2022 that's the biggest budget that the city has ever seen, of over $170 million. It's important that we have leaders in the role on the city council that are going to look at that, but also are going to make sure that that is preparing us for whatever the future may hold. Again, I could talk about what was said last night with water, but that is just an example of what we need to continue to do. It's also an important part of the citizens in Spanish Fork that we keep our taxes low, that we're trying to add economic growth to help keep those taxes at a place where people are comfortable living and they can have the comfort of living that they've come to know.
Thank you.
Okay, Jesse, why you help us understand why you're different than the other candidates.
All right, well, I've said some of those things again, so if I sound like a broken record, I apologize. But what sets me apart is I bring a very different perspective than a lot of people in this room, just because I chose Spanish Fork as a place where I wanted to raise my family. I also am a business representative and a manager who's had to fire and hire people, ran big budgets, created an environment that lots of people want to be a part of every day. I also have been able to bridge gaps between differing points of view and helping people to see the middle ground. Sometimes, especially as a city council, you're not always going to find that middle point, but it's important that we have people who are going to listen to all perspectives and help them to come to that best solution. When I moved here 7 years ago, I didn't, again, just come here and say, hey, this is going to be a great place to live, and I'm just going to sit back and let it happen. I became actively involved in everything that I could in the city. If we were to look at the roles of city council meetings or the minutes from the last 7 years, you're going to see my name very often on those rolls, not because I had a bone to pick with the city council, but because I wanted to be a part of the budgeting process. I wanted to be a part of the different zoning processes, and I wanted to understand what was going on. I've talked to every member of the city council at a different time about a different topic to give my perspective, or also to seek understanding and answers. And that's what I'm going to bring to the city council, is a different perspective, but somebody who's already involved in that process and understands what's going on, so I can hit the ground running and not skip a beat.
Thank you, Jesse. All right, Stephen Carlson.
Stephen, thank you. What do you want us to know about you?
So I was sitting there thinking, and I realized when I was in 5th grade, I was a part of what's called the Safety Kids. We did some songs and dances. And it's interesting because I was thinking about service, and I have a strong belief in service. I was raised with it, and it's something I've always taken with me. And as you know that I'm a parent of two kids, you want them to learn those same lessons you learned as a kid. And this one I want to instill with them is service. And it kind of, I tied those two together. I looked at all the volunteer opportunities that I'm drawn to. Currently, I'm a fireman here in Spanish Fork. It's one of the greatest honors in my whole life. But if you look back, a lot of things have brought me to take that opportunity. And I think being on that, having that opportunity and interacting with the city council and seeing the great work that you do, it kind of just helps you propel forward in a direction. And it hit me just a second ago that it kind of all started in 5th grade. I live here in town. I was born and raised in Spanish Fork. I love this city. It's interesting. I look at the group here. Spanish Fork is a community of service. And it's, when you're outside of Spanish Fork and you talk about it, you kind of get looks and stares. And when you're in Spanish Fork, you take a look around the room and it's always full. You can always look up and down Main Street, and there's never a lack of hands to do work for our city. So I want you to know about me as I love service, and I want my kids to learn service, and I want that to be something that I stand for and kind of embrace and culture and nourish.
Thank you you, Stephen. Tell us about your vision for the future of Spanish Fork.
So I'm going to kind of steal a little bit of your vision, a bit of Scobes' vision, and a bit of Chad's vision from last 2 council meetings ago. I think we were talking about the budget, and the question of priorities came up, and I really appreciated, you know, the vacant seat over there talked about police and being the safest city, one of the safest cities in America. That's something that we need to be proud of, and I know each one of you are proud of that because it starts at the top. That's, you know, from my vision is to make sure we stay safe. Our city's growing, and I think, you know, with our ambulance and fire needing to grow to serve the needs of the city. My vision is that we grow to provide the best service in the best way, the Spanish Fork way here in the city. That's a vision I have, how we can meet our citizens the best possible way. We're doing it a really good job today, a way that I'm proud of, and I want to continue that forward. And then I think, you know, Councilman Beck, I think you talked about the pool being your priority, and I was thinking about what makes Spanish Fork great, and it's those areas and things that bring us together as a community. The pool is one of those things. I break that up into events and places. When we look at, you know, the pool's a place, the events, Fiesta Days, Food Truck Friday. I drove past that for weeks and weeks, well, I shouldn't say weeks, for a year almost, and now it's our favorite place to go because you get to run into people you haven't seen in 10 years in a casual setting in the park. So I really like that sense of community, and I think when we look at that, it's I want everybody in Spanish Fork to say, hey, Spanish Fork has something for me. I'm not an animal person, but I always have to laugh when I drive past a dog park and it is just full, and I think it makes me happy because Spanish Fork has a place for them to go. Spanish Fork has a place for everybody, and I think that's part of the vision as well. And then just to kind of wrap up with my 9 seconds with Councilman Beck is that, you know, the budget. We want to do it. A great place to live is an affordable place to live, and I think you got to find a way to do it all within our financial constraints. So I think that's important to mention as well.
Maybe you're the only firefighter applicant here, I don't know, I'm not sure, but that sets you apart from other people. What else sets you apart from the rest of the applicants for this position?
So there's not a lot that sets me apart because there's a lot of great people in this room and they believe a lot of the things I do. But our mayor taught me a lesson a couple years ago, and he has no idea he taught me this lesson. But what sets me apart is my belief in accessibility. I've had the opportunity to sit a couple seats down from the mayor at the football games. I like to yell in the microphone, and he keeps score. And it's been a unique experience because he sits in the middle and we're kind of all spread out and people come and go. And I had the opportunity to introduce my son to the mayor, and he was the most gracious to my son. And I'll tell you what, he stood a little higher that day. And I thought, you know, that's what we want with our elected officials, is accessibility. They need to be walking up to each and every one of you. We've seen the mayor drive up and down the street a little bit, and my son always pops out and goes, I know that guy. And I think that's what makes Spanish Fork special. And that's what I want you to know about me, is I believe in accessibility. No matter where I go, I want to be accessible. I think that's super important for the elected officials of this town, is that we can feel like we can come up I wasn't nervous until that timer was there. Now I'm like kind of rushed. So I think it's important for the accessibility of our council people, and I think each one of you have done a great job of that. And I share that experience with Mr. Leifson because it was something that had an impression on me as a person, and I think I want to continue to carry that forward. And I think that's what sets me unique is I want to be out there, and I'm in the community all the time, and it's great to interact with the citizens. Unfortunately, we get to see them sometimes at their worst, and I think it's nice to make sure you're always open, your heart's always open, no matter what. So I'm not going to let the timer dictate me. I got 10 seconds left, so thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Steve. Shane Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor.
Shane, what do you want us to know about you?
So my name is Shane Marshall. We moved here in 1977. We've been here forever. I won't mention where we were before. It's a little town to the north. My parents did not know where they should grow up, but they made the right call and they came to Spanish Fork. So I grew up here. I graduated from here. I went to Brigham Young University, where I graduated in civil engineering. I went from there to the Utah Department of Transportation, where I worked for 25 years in public service. What you need to know about me is that I missed that public service. I retired from there in 2018, and I'm looking forward to being back in public service. It meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to my family to be able to invest the time and energy into making a difference in our community. And we want to do that. I want to do that here in Spanish Fork. I spent 4 years on the Planning Commission. I learned a lot about how things work and how we grow. I think I have a lot to offer in that regard. I think one thing that people don't know about me is that I like to have a little bit of fun. I like to joke around a little bit. I don't take myself very seriously, but I take this job very, very serious. It's something I want to do. It's something that I think that I would be good at, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to serve with you all.
Shane, what's your vision for the future of Spanish Fork?
Thank you. I think it would be nice if we could add the time to this one, right? This is a tough question to answer, not just because it's about the vision, but the hard part is how do you create that vision? So I think my vision is centered around quality of life. We moved to Spanish Fork and stayed in Spanish Fork because of the quality of life. And that has not really changed over the last 50 years or 30 years. We love it here. We want it to stay that way. And I think there's some things that we need to focus on as we move forward. Those are sustainable growth. We need to have a solid plan. I know you have a plan. We need to execute that plan, and we need to work it, and we need to make it happen. We need to have a range of housing choices. It can't all be one thing. We just can't do that anymore. I think that you proved that out last night in your very difficult conversation about a townhome development, that it can't all be single family. There is something else we need to offer to the community. It has to be the full range so that my kids can decide if they want to stay here. We need transportation choices. I'm sure that you're not surprised that I said transportation choices. That's what I've done for 29 years of my life. But I think the surprise might be in how I say that. Cars are important, sure, but it's about the range of alternatives, the range of choices we give our citizens in transportation. We need active transportation. You're doing such a good job with our trails and non-motorized access throughout the community. But we need to bring transit here. I know the mayor's been working on bringing transit south, and that's extremely important for the vitality of our community. The connections I've built over the last 29 years are going to help do that, help move the needle, help bring different modes of transportation to our community. And then the last two things are a fiscally conservative approach to taxes and spending. I think we all can agree that when we spend money, we know whose money that is. That's our citizens. And we need to be very responsible with that. We need to talk about those priorities open and honestly and let everyone know what we're trying to accomplish. And then finally, we need to create jobs. You talked about that last night. You created 105 jobs with that one decision you made last night. That's extremely important for the quality of life as we move forward.
All right. You've told us a lot that differentiates you from everyone else. Is there anything that you want to add?
No, I'm just going to sit down now.
Oh, boy.
No, I think what sets me apart, and this is a tough conversation, right? There's some incredibly talented people behind me, and I think any one of us could fill the seat really well. But what I think sets me apart is my ability to step into that seat and make a difference today. My background, my experience, my leadership ability, I understand the issues, and not just from a high level. I know the nuances of those issues. I know the challenges that you have to go through to make decisions, and I can provide value to those right now. You don't have to wait to get me up to speed. I can provide that right now. I think the relationships that I've built at the Department of Transportation is going to help tremendously on the Kent City Council. Spent 25 years. The last 6 of those years was at the executive director or deputy director level. I was at the Hill for just about 45 days every 6 years, or every year for 6 years, understanding those connections and being able to leverage those connections. While I was there, I managed 1,600 people and a $1.2 billion budget. So I know how to budget. I know how to spend money. I know how to spend it right, and the whole time it's taxpayer money. So that thinking process of having whose money is this really, always in the front of my head about how to make those decisions. So I think my experience, my leadership allows me to hit the ground running and be a valuable part of the council immediately.
Great. Thanks. All right. Mike Clayson.
Besides having the best name that's invented, Mike, what do you want us to know about you?
I think the most important part is just, I'm a lifer. Can you use that word? Is that good or bad? Some people look down on it. But I'm a lifer here. Me and my wife, Angie, both grew up here, love it here. We have 5 kids. You can adopt any of them if you want. We live just up on the hill of Spanish Fork. kind of a rough neighborhood because there's some manholes up that way, but we pull through okay. I work at the credit union on 3rd South, Pacific Horizon Credit Union, and just love this town, and that's why I decided to do this. So,
What is your vision for the future of Spanish
my vision, if you think of Spanish Fork, you think back pressurized irrigation, way ahead of the time, right? Spanish Fork got that way ahead. They have their own TV channel, way ahead of the time, and I think that's incredible. And the things the city has done, it sets the bar, and I think somebody else said it earlier, by far the best city in this county, in my opinion, the best city in this state. And it's not even close to things that we have and that we do. You don't need to do anything further than go on a Friday night down to the ballpark and just look at the hundreds of people that are involved and volunteer coaching and that. I got to see it firsthand, kind of where I got my bug is I helped out on Fiesta Days for a couple years. And I will tell you, it's awe-inspiring just to watch how many people do work for nothing. And I feel guilty. For 3 years, we were the chairman. And I feel guilty because you got to stand up on stage and look cool and thank everybody, and everybody's saying you're doing a great job, when everybody behind us is doing the work. Hundreds of volunteers and the city workers. I am just amazed at how good our city workers are. Where we live, we might have some issues up there. I don't know if you've ever come up to Makeout Point. Sometimes there's some stuff that goes on up there.
Never. Mayor's always up.
Yeah, he's there a lot. We're supposed to not talk about it, but our police department do an amazing job up there of patrolling and taking care of it and watching over it. And it's just, from top to bottom, the city is just ran smooth. And why would you not want to be a part of that?
Right.
Mike, why you? Help us understand what sets you apart from the other applicants.
You know, same thing everybody said. There's some great guys back there. I know some of them I'm just getting to know. And isn't it awesome you've got this many people that want to try and help the city out? For me, I'm a hard worker. Put my head down and just get things done. Watching the people through Fiesta Days has inspired me to just give back and do anything and everything I can to help the city to continue with what we got going on. And I think that the job that I have, I deal with thousands of people day to day. And I think the ear of the people, I have a ton of people that come in my office and just talk about how great this place is. And I just want to continue that.
Right.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Whitney Hancock.
Hi. How's it going?
Great.
Hi, Whitney. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Whitney Hancock. I was born and raised in Spanish Fork. I have 5 children from 5 to 15. We're building a house. We just moved out. We're living with my dad. We're building a house because can you find rent right now in a house anywhere in Spanish Fork? It's a little booming. Director of the Youth Arts Festival, which is going on right now. Literally, I left my amazing committee there to wrap up the day and came up here for this. I've done that for 10 years. I served on the committee for 2 years before that. So for 12 years, I've helped out with the Youth Arts Festival just a little bit. I worked for Spanish Fork City at SFC, and I kind of say I helped pioneer it, right, Mike? I was watching it one night. I saw what was on there, and it was high school students standing in a field spitting out water. And I called up John Boca, and I said, John, there's so many amazing things in Spanish Fork that you're not capitalizing on. There are Little League games, there are football games. You need to be going in and doing this. So he called me back and he's like, do you want a job? And so that's how I got my job with SFCN. So I worked there, I got married, had a baby, and I've just been raising my family since. So, yeah.
You've been great with the arts in Spanish Fork. I know that. Tell us a little bit about your vision of Spanish Fork overall.
So my vision overall for Spanish Fork City, I really started thinking about this, last week. I was looking at it and I'm like, you guys have done a great job at keeping the hometown feel. We have the commercial side over here on US 6. We have Main Street that gives you the hometown vibes. And then we have the farms and we have the houses. And it's a really good balance. My vision for Spanish Fork is I want to help keep it where we're at, but also help grow. Very forward thinking. I like to make sure that we're kind of ahead of the game when it comes to future things. Like with the Youth Arts Festival, just as an example, I looked at, we're probably going to have older kids who have stayed with the program, so I started looking into getting older kid classes. And this year we had record older kids in our year. And so I kind of have a vision to kind of keep it forward thinking, keep it moving, and I'll be all inclusive. It's really important that everybody is involved and that they know that they're welcomed.
Very good. Thank you.
Why you? Help us understand what sets you apart from the others in this room.
I'm the only woman.
Okay, very good.
So there you go. No. I actually represent a part of the community that their voices aren't heard often. I have a special needs son, and so I kind of, my heart goes out to that community. And I love that we have the All Abilities Park, and we do need to be more inclusive. I mean, this is a great jump off the diving board to open up the door for that, and I would love to work with local businesses and have them kind of help our kids with special needs and adults with special needs feel welcome in our community. And so I kind of, have a little bit of, now I can't think. I have a little experience with that and with the school district, and I just want to help the community, and I love being a part of it and volunteering, so that's all.
Thanks, Whitney.
Yeah.
Appreciate that very much. Landon Took.
Thanks, Landon.
Professional
What do you want
here.
us to know about you?
Well, thank you for having me first off, and thanks for considering all of us amazing candidates for this opportunity. This is a unique, special opportunity, so thank you for your time and your service. But about me, so my name is Landon Took. I know most of you, but not all of you, so it's good to meet you. I live in the Sunny Ridge area here in Spanish Fork. I grew up in the Wolf Hollow area on Scenic Drive, and then my father also lived up the street towards the canyon as well. So love Spanish Fork very much. I'm married. My wife and I have 3 little girls, and I work at BYU. I'm an academic and professional development manager. I've been there 14 years, and I received my Master of Public Administration there. That's where I really gained a love and passion. Well, I already had it, but that's where it really cemented for public service, was in my graduate studies. And I also have the opportunity to teach, which I love, at BYU and at UVU. So I love teaching when I get the chance. I mentioned I've lived in Spanish Fork a majority of my life. So in 1993, my mother moved to Spanish Fork, and that's when this journey began. And my high school, as we know, that's when high school begins. And that's when I really gained a deep love for Spanish Fork. I got involved with the Spanish Fork. I got elected to serve on the Youth City Council, sit in these seats here. Been a long time, but I remember how much I thought that was so cool, and love having an impact even, at that level. And then many other things I've done since then. One thing I've done more recently is at BYU, I've worked at the political science department to roll out the new civic engagement minor for the students. So just various reasons why I'm passionate about service. And I've also served in the Miss Utah organization on the local and state level, worked with many of our young women. I know last night you talked about a couple. There were 3 last week at the Miss Utah competition who represented us so well in our city. So I'm ready to make an impact on a larger scale.
Awesome. Kay, what's your vision for the future, Landon?
Yeah, thanks, Stacy. So a couple years ago, I had the opportunity to serve and help out my aunt who ran for Provo mayor. And boy, that was a wild ride. I learned a lot, all the good, the bad, the ugly. Anyway, long story short, I fell in love with the process, and I thought I would love to do this in Spanish Fork. So for my aunt, things worked out. She was elected, and she continues to mentor me and be, I'm learning from her and just all these things, right, that are so good about, being good in civic engagement and civic service. But I want to continue what she's doing, specifically for Spanish Fork, for meeting our needs. So more specifically for what will I, do to help with the vision of Spanish Fork is I plan to be a good listener. Listen to, the needs and the wants of the citizens, and then discuss them and decide what's best among the council and also the city leaders, and then move forward accordingly. I'm a team player. I love collaboration. You know, I think about the council collaboration. I watch you guys. I think that would be so exciting to be a part of. You know, I love what we always talk about, pride and progress in Spanish Fork. And, you know, I want to continue that. That's a big part of who we are. And I think, you know, last thought is that I hope to, with all of you, to make decisions that are for next generation, importantly, and not just necessarily for this next election. You know, that's final thought.
Thank you.
Thanks, Landon. What sets you apart? You mentioned Miss Utah. There's probably not too many Miss Utah people involved in here, but what else sets you apart from the other candidates?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So when I filed to run for council a few weeks ago, it's there I learned that this was actually a paid position. I had no idea. I thought it was just service. I thought it was just like my service with Miss Utah. I had no idea. It was kind of exciting. I mean, I'm sure we could all use a little extra money, but that's not why I do it. And so I start with that because I think it showcases my servant's heart, and I would like to think that I have a servant's heart, you know, and that's why I'm doing this. Not in it for the money, definitely. But I love the city. I have a great desire to serve. I'm passionate about making a difference. I hope to get to do that with you all. You know, Spanish Fork has been talked about this entire meeting as a growing city. There's a lot of needs. A lot of things come up. A lot of things need to be addressed. I want to be part of that. I'd love a seat at the decision-making table. You know, I'm also looking forward to, you know, serving on the different committees that this position would allow for. I love being on different teams and committees and having a voice in those. You know, and in closing, my family, we're invested in this community. I mean, we love being here. I've spent, like I told you, my majority of my life here. But this is our forever hometown. And I believe I'm the right fit for this opportunity. So thank you again for giving me a chance and considering all of us.
Good. Hey, thanks, Landon.
Landon, 29 cents an hour. That's the pay.
And it,
We get a raise.
yeah,
We get a raise.
I thought it was 50 cents a day if I walked here and back. So that's great. All right, thank you all. Y'all did a great job. We sure appreciate that. You know, thank you again for putting yourself out there. It's not easy, you know. So thank you. I think back 16 years ago when I first ran, and yeah, it brings back some good memories. Okay, this is how it's going to work. We are going to vote. Each council member will vote. They'll choose their first pick. That pick gets 3 points. Their second pick will get 2 points, and their third pick will get 1 point. We'll go through, I'll call each one out. They'll make that vote, and then the top 2 vote getters will ask you a few questions, and out of those 2 top vote getters, we'll again vote again. They'll get 1 vote this time for one of those 2 people there. So without any further ado.
Can we have some further ado?
No.
It's been almost an hour since.
I know it, but you can stick it out.
Just give me a minute.
We had,
Just give me a minute.
we
Since
had
I gotta go first.
6 hours last night.
I'll delay for Brandon a little bit and just mention that when I got to meet most of you the other night at candidate orientation meeting, and the next time I ran into Seth, and you all know this already for what your service is to the city, and I think I mentioned it at council meeting last night, but the first thing that Seth and I said to each other is that is a room full of people that really have a wealth of service in them. And so whatever, you know, obviously the metrics are that 1 out of 8 or 9 or whatever gets this position for a period of time while they're still running, right, a campaign this summer and this fall to be elected and stuff. But what we meant by that is, just like you mentioned, all the committees that are in the city. I mean, if you don't have to be involved too much into the city to know that there's a Parks and Rec committee, that there's a Fiesta Days committee, that there's a Youth Arts Festival committee. There's a committee for every single thing about the quality of life of Spanish Fork. And so the encouragement, I guess, is whatever happens here holy cow, we need you. The city needs you. The city needs you in every aspect of that, because good people that are willing to serve, that have awesome ideas, just like what we heard here today, those committees you would be invaluable to. I mean, you know, Scott's gonna run a library that's gonna be completely, you know, off the charts. And so all the service opportunities that are in the city but continuing to grow in the city, what a great pool of people to pick from.
That's right. We appreciate that. All right.
I've whittled it down to 10.
Okay.
I'll take a minute then.
No,
Mayor, he doesn't
You don't
like
have
a
to
lot
keep
of talking.
stalling
So
for
whoever sits here, just know that the mayor wants you to wrap it up and super quick.
You'll find I like short meetings, you know.
Yeah. No, but thank you for being here. There are several of you that I am just seeing for the first time. Like, I've seen names, but I've never met you. And any of you could like replace any of us, and the city would keep on going. I'm thoroughly impressed with all of you for being here and for doing this. In 2015, when I campaigned, I truly was not going to sign up because of Meet the Candidates. And here 2 weeks ago, you guys just found out that you also had to do this. This is scary, and we're being televised. It's a big deal. So thank you for being courageous and brave enough to be here. We appreciate it. And Brandon or Chad, if you guys want to go ahead and say anything.
Hey.
She's gonna invite you.
Who are you? We might choose two tonight.
I'd like to say something real quick, if I could, Mayor. Short and sweet. Regardless of what happens right here, I don't know if you know, but I have always said when elections come around, there should be 100 people signing up for this. Thank you, every one of you. It's not easy to do this. I've done it 4 times. The experience that you'll get and you'll learn, and the people that you get to meet, is unreal. Thank you for doing this and putting your out there and then coming to this. It's not easy to stand up here and have us fire questions at you, but I am excited about the election. Kent might not, because he's going to have to hold a primary. That costs a little extra money, but I'm excited about that, to narrow it down to those couple that we're going to replace. And thank you for serving, and thank you for coming here. To have 10 people, 11 people, 12 people that want to serve in the community is awesome. And each one of you, I guarantee you, the reason he's stalling is because it's not easy to choose one person to get down to this. So, and it's not, because every one of you are awesome. You've all served, you're excited about being here, and we're excited about having you here, so thank you.
the reason I got to go first was because well, Seth, do you want to explain how this all?
Yeah, that might be
came?
helpful.
It's not even,
Yeah,
it's like unbelievable.
yeah, there's nothing really glamorous about this, and obviously I'm taking cues here. I need to take about 10 more minutes. I'm getting that whisper. 7 years ago. I'm just kidding. No, hopefully the candidates already know this, but maybe for the public that's watching, there are 40 people on Facebook. I don't know how many on Channel 17, but we had them come up in master ballot position, which is a term that isn't really common to the world, but the lieutenant governor creates this kind of new alphabet every election cycle so that those with the letter A don't always appear at the top of the ballot. Excuse me. And so they came out in master ballot order, which is based on the election ballot. For your vote, we have used a random calculator, a random generator formula to create 4 different vote scenarios. And so you can see in front of you what that vote order is. And it'll be different every time. And depending on how you vote and what happens, we know that there could be 4 total votes taken today. And every time that you have a vote, there would be a different order. And that was predetermined. We had the attorney in the room to make sure it was all good. We had, accountants from Ernst & Young to make sure that the ballots were good. Is that right, Landon? Perfect. And then, but anyways, so you have different vote orders. Again, it's not alphabetical, it's just random. So the mayor's got those and he'll follow that, but trying to make sure that there's just no kind of potential favoritism or anything like that, taking the lead from the lieutenant governor's office and how they do elections.
Right. So Nick will keep the tally, and once we've done with the vote, then he'll post up on the board here the top two. So,
I've always wanted to steal the microphone away from the person sitting next to me. A couple of years ago, I had it taken away from me too often, so I just wanted to steal it one time. As you vote, so let's take a moment here and suppose Brandon's going to express his thoughts and he'll give his 3 votes, or his order of 1, 2, and 3. Nick will put those in a spreadsheet here and he'll repeat back, so don't go too fast. He's got to move around and put numbers in places, so give him a little bit of time to notate those, but then when you're done, he'll repeat back your order to make sure that he got it right. And then we'll move on to whoever's next, and that same thing will happen 4 times, just to make sure that we're accurate in how we got those. I'll give you the microphone again.
So everyone knows.
don't ever let him take the mic.
And so everyone knows, for vote 1, in the vote 1 category, I'll go first, then Stacy, then Mike, and then Chad, right? And then vote 2 is different, vote 3 and vote 4 if we need it. Were you gonna say that just now? Go ahead and say it again, it'll give me more time.
We're gonna vote for 3 now, because he's gonna go out.
Perfect.
All right, so the vote order, just like Councilman Gordon said, Councilman Gordon will vote first, Councilman Beck will vote second, Councilman Mendenhall will vote third, and then Councilman Argyle will vote fourth. Nick will tabulate that for us, and then we'll put them up on the board, and then we'll go to the next vote. And on the next vote, Councilman Mendenhall will go, then Councilman Gordon, then Councilman Beck, and then Councilman Argyle. And if we have to go past that, we have 2 more scenarios there, but we'll see how it goes from here. So without any more further ado, Councilman Gordon.
Everyone, thanks for being here, obviously, that's been said. I wanted to let you know that I had a conversation with Councilman Mendenhall on Monday, and we kind of were talking about, like, just how this is just crazy. Like in some weird way, like, I feel like I should be picking the most athletic person because we're in 3rd grade, getting together a kickball team, and I would always be last, and so, but realistically, Mike made a really good point the other day as to the importance of you know, that we televise this live, and I think that's really awesome for those that are also seeking a 4-year term as candidates. And so I hope that the people out in TV world and Facebook world have been able to get to know you a little better, as they will between now and the primary. That being said, if you have any questions for me after this, if I do not choose you as one of my top 3 or whatever, please feel free to reach out. I put my cell phone out there and subscribe to that transparency that a lot of you talked about. And so please feel free to reach out to me in any way, and we can have a candid discussion. I can tell you what I thought was good and what I thought maybe you could work on. So with that said, my first choice is Shane Marshall. Second choice is Jesse Cardin. And my third choice is Landon Took.
First choice, Shane Marshall. Second choice, Jesse Cardin. Third choice, Landon Took. Correct?
Correct.
Great.
All right, Councilmember Beck.
So my first choice is Kevin Euler. My second choice, Shane Marshall. And my third choice, Jesse Cardin.
First choice, Kevin Euler. Second choice, Shane Marshall. Third choice, Jesse Cardin. Great.
Okay, Councilman Mendenhall.
My first choice is Shane Marshall, my second choice is Kevin Euler, and my third choice is Mike Clayson.
First choice, Shane Marshall. Second choice, Kevin Euler. Third choice, Mike Clayson.
Yep.
Great.
All right, Councilman Argyle.
First choice, Scott Nelson. Second choice, Kevin Euler. Third choice, Landon Took.
First choice, Scott Nielsen. Second choice, Kevin Euler. Third choice, Landon Took. Correct?
Yes.
So the way that the procedure, and Vaughn, make sure that I explain it right, but as we discussed the procedures yesterday in our council meeting, set those, the vote, first place gets 3 votes, second place gets 2 votes, and 2 points. First place gets 3 points, second place gets 2 points, and a third place vote gets 1 point. We tallied the votes, as you can see, the first choice votes, second choice, and third choice votes, and then we used a formula in the spreadsheet of some product to that point total, added it up, and from this voting, the 2 that would proceed forward are Shane Marshall and Kevin Euler.
Okay. So with those 2, we're going to give the opportunity to have the council member ask 1 question. So since Shane, you were the top vote together, come on up here and we'll have Stacy ask you 1 question.
I share this often. I sat next to Shane in some class in high school. Good egg. But tell me, out of all the different boards, I think Seth Perrins talked about in your meeting last week that we participate on, what board would you be most excited to serve on?
Great question.
There's no transportation board as of now.
Well, let's make one. I think, so we didn't really get into all of them, right?
Probably not.
You said we had some. I think, so I'm not sure exactly which one, to be honest. But I think to leverage my background the best, I think that those that have to do with the application of the planning throughout the city. Some board where I can utilize my background in civil engineering, my background in leadership, and my background with the connections that I have throughout the community to help move forward that board. It's tough to have a specific one. I'm pretty sure that I could help the mayor at the COG meeting, at the MPO meeting, for a transportation perspective. So I think those were probably where I could be best fit. Yep.
I'll stay up here because we're all.
If you each one want to say, you don't have to, but if you do.
My question revolves around, there's a statement by Jefferson that says government close to the people usually governs best. Government today is pretty tough. You've been in government service for 20 years, over 20 years in your job. What do you do? What's your feelings on helping the public, just public in general, not only correlate and communicate with local government, but trust government, communicate with government on a regular basis to feel like we're on a team? I
think there's a couple of things. So first of all, we need to create a different level of transparency so that they can come here or somewhere else and get the information they need. But oftentimes we don't talk about the right information at the right time. I think we need to put it in perspective for folks. I think a good example is last night. You had a lot of conversation about traffic through a neighborhood or the impact of a development on a neighborhood. Take it in that very fine grained look of things. It's a very difficult, emotional conversation to have. We never talked about the perspective of how that fits into the overall city and the overall picture of Spanish Fork. And we do, but we briefly slide through that. I had this conversation with my brother. He stops at a stop sign on Canyon Road, and he says to me, "You need to fix this. It is terrible." And I said, "Okay, describe terrible for me." He said, "I have to wait for 3 cars." For him, every day, that's terrible. From the bigger perspective of things, it's pretty minor. But we never talk about the perception of things, the context in which those impacts are associated with. And I think that's where we can gain a lot of understanding from the public, at least from our perspective, on what our beliefs and our expectations, if we can explain why it's important and at the right level that it's important.
We're about to discuss needs versus wants probably in a future conversations about a swimming pool. What are your thoughts about a future for a swimming pool for Spanish Fork?
Needs versus wants, or just a swimming pool in general?
About a swimming pool in general.
That's a great question, Brandon. So several years ago when you all were pushing for a bond, I think back then what we didn't really talk about is that over the life of Spanish Fork, The people that came before us made investments into our community. They said, we're going to spend money here so that the next generation can benefit. And I think we overlooked that fact when we didn't vote for that. My parents came here in 1977. They spent money on baseball fields, on soccer fields, and all of those things that made my life better. It made me want to stay. So I think it's extremely important that we have a good conversation about where we invest taxpayer dollars for future generations. Where do you take my money and give it to the city so you can spend it in a way that makes a difference to my children and their children's children? So I think something like the swimming pool is one of those conversations to have. And I think it's extremely important to have a variety of activities for our community to have. And so I would be very supportive of spending money on a community pool.
And favorite place to eat in Spanish?
Hey, that's two
No,
questions.
that's-
No,
You don't-
I get two. Go ahead,
no, you
Shane.
only get one.
I'm not
You
answering
gotta tell
that.
us. You're not gonna answer?
A Main Street diner, Doc Brunny's, is a great place.
Okay, perfect.
Good deal. Chad?
So something that we don't talk about very often is parking.
You don't?
Spanish
I
Fork.
thought you talked about it for like 4 hours.
So what's your opinion about our parking?
Again, it's back to that perception problem. Someone drives past somewhere, and they see people not parked in their driveway, so that the assumption is no one parks in their driveway. I mean, there is no doubt that in a dense community, that parking is a challenge. No question about it. I think the answer to that is not necessarily more parking, it's more transportation options. And making sure that we put those communities in places where there are other options than driving a car. If we can take cars out of those communities, we don't need to provide the parking that we do today. I mean, you can go up to Salt Lake along the entire Front Runner corridor and see just parking lot after parking lot. A good example of that is the Point of the Mountain in Lehigh. Just sea of parking lots. Well, there's probably better use of land than parking, right? So I think we need to do a better job of providing options to get out of your car so that we don't have to have so many parking spots within our community. Yep.
Thanks, Shane.
Yep.
Thank you.
Kevin, come on down. Mike, you get to ask the first
I'll
question.
go, well, same question, just, yeah, what's your, you've served in government now for a little bit too, and interacting with people, sometimes on tough subjects, and what's your vision, your plan of, helping communicate better with our constituents, better with the citizens, so we represent them in the right way?
Well, one thing that needs to happen or continue to happen is making sure people are notified. If there's a public hearing, the city's continually working on notifications, whether that be through newsletters, signs, whatever it is. We need to make sure that people are aware of what's going on within our community. The other thing is recognizing and helping educate and teach people that property rights are two-sided, meaning that the person that's selling the land and wanting to develop that land has as much property rights as the people that live around that property, live in that area. Or in fact, more so, I would say, because it's their property. But we have to find a balance to where we respect the zoning and the plan that's put in place for that area, and make sure that we educate and teach people what our general plan is, so that they don't come into a meeting blindsided and unaware of what potentially could take place in their community, in their area.
Thanks. Gordo?
Same question. We're getting a lot of emails from people that are going to the pool for the last time this year. Before the Eagle School District, vacates that land to build the new Spanish Fork High School. Currently don't have plans to build a new pool. So what are your thoughts?
My thoughts with the pool are, first, that Spanish Fork has one of the best recreation departments in the state. We have one of the best recreation directors in the state. Recently, he put out a city's recreation master plan, and I think we need to look at that master plan and get ideas from that. If I were on the city council, I would lean heavily on the direction of our directors. And if the rec director comes to us and says, I've heard from the public, and we're hearing quite a bit, that a pool is something that we need, then I would absolutely consider that. But I would also probably first look at the priorities within the city. We've got to look at our budget right now. We've got quite a few capital projects that are weighing heavily on our budget. You're not going to go and throw another capital project on top of that and add additional burden to our citizens until our priorities are sorted out and we can make sure that we can pay for it.
Favorite place to eat?
Favorite place to eat? If you've never had the pineapple fajitas at Mi Corazon on Main Street, you're missing out. That's one of our favorite places.
There you go. Councilman Argal.
Okay, so answer this, not using your knowledge from your family meetings about the city budget. So how important is our quality of life in this city, and what do you think of our quality of life in this city?
People stay in Spanish Fork because of the quality of life. I stayed in Spanish Fork because of the quality of life. Spanish Fork it's a great place to be because of all of the amenities. I mean, I mentioned it earlier, we've got Fiesta Days. I consider that a quality of life. It's a service that the city puts on with the parade and all the festivities, and it makes you want to be a part of it. We've got, we talked about the pool just recently. We've got a place to swim if we wanted to. We could go up to the reservoir, right? And the quality of life that we've got there. Curb and gutter, a lot of people don't think about that, but when you drive around neighboring communities, neighboring cities, and you look at the curb and gutter, Spanish Fork has done an excellent job as far as impact fees and making sure that those that move in here contribute a little bit to the look and feel of our city. So I really, really feel like Spanish Fork has done an excellent job and will continue to do an excellent job when it comes to quality of life.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Okay.
Hey, Kevin, get back here.
Oh, Stacy didn't. I forgot about, we were going to replace her, so it didn't matter.
Shall I just go down there? Okay, what board would you want to serve on? What do you think you're
So
qualified for?
I've thought about that a little bit as I got the list and looked over it. Quite honestly, I think the one that I would love to serve on, obviously it would be up to the mayor's decision. I'd be willing to serve wherever the mayor asked me to serve. But my kids love the library, the current library as is. We go there quite frequently, and so I would absolutely love to serve on the library board. The other one, if I were given two choices, and this may seem strange, but I would love to serve on the Seniors Advisory Board. My wife's grandma was on that board as a senior, and we had the opportunity to go down and see some of the activities that they put on, and I love the seniors in our community. So that's where I would serve.
Great.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh, Mike gets to go first. You want
So
us to
the
start?
second vote, the random voting from our council, will be Councilman Mendenhall, then Councilman Gordon, Councilmember Beck, and then Councilman Argal. So, Councilman Mendenhall.
Well, and I'll just preface it with, hey, I'm excited to run with all of you in, in your races this year. I'm running as well. So I'm excited that we all signed a petition that says, hey, we're going to run good, clean races. That's what I've seen in Spanish Fork, and that's encouraging too, is because people just run and say, hey, this is what I want to do, this is why I want to do it, and let the voters decide. And it sounds like you guys have already started down that path with what you've said tonight. So I'm excited to run with y'all. So we go.
You get one vote.
Oh, we're not doing, one and two. So he doesn't put me on the mathematic committee, I guess?
No, you get just one. Just one.
Well, Shane ran last time, 2 years ago, and so that's a part of why I'm voting for Shane to fill this vacancy right now. So my vote's Shane.
You gonna repeat that? You got that?
I think we got it.
Okay.
Repeat it.
All right, thank you. Well, last time you repeated, I just want to make sure.
We can just use two hands for this one.
Okay. Councilman Gordon.
I ran against Shane 2 years ago as well. Ran against Aaron my first term, so appreciate that, level of commitment. I would choose Shane.
Okay. Councilmember Beck.
Okay, infrastructure right now is a big deal for our city, and so because of that, I'm going to also choose Shane.
Okay. Councilman Argal.
Shane.
All right. Wow, congratulations. We appreciate that. Appreciate each one of you. Now, part of this, of our meeting here is Resolution 21-16, the appointment of an individual to our city council. So I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve Resolution 2116, appointment of an individual to city council as the mayor directed.
Second?
You need to name the.
You gotta have a name. You need to say the name.
Resolution 2116, appointment of an individual to city council. His name's Shane Marshall.
Thank you.
Second?
A motion by Councilman Mendenhall, a second by Councilman Argal. This will be a roll call vote. Councilmember Beck.
Aye.
Councilmember Mendenhall.
Aye.
Councilmember Gordon.
Aye.
Councilman Argal.
Aye.
All right, thank you. I would entertain a motion. Before I say that, once again, thank you. You're still running. Don't give up. Go out there and do the best you can. Run a good campaign. You know, it's a commitment, but this is a great city. And like was mentioned before, if you don't get elected, come and ask to be on a board. Come and be served. You know, most of these people up here served the city on different committees before they were city council members. I know I, for years and years, served the city. Get involved with the city. I tell everybody, get involved with this community and be a part of it. And whether it's on this level or just being out there, boots on the ground, be a part of it, because I love this city and I love that you all came and are running, and good luck in your campaign and continue on. I would entertain a motion to.
Maybe just a couple of things. It's not midnight yet,
You know,
Mayor.
he always wants to be on TV.
It's not midnight. They can keep the camera right on you. Just move your mouth a little bit and it'll. No, so maybe for the public that's watching, I think everybody in this room understands, but this fills the seat that Councilman Scobes vacated last night, and it would run through January 4th. And then, of course, the elections will take place, and this particular seat is also up for election as well. So the voters will decide in November who would ultimately fill this seat right for the next 4 years after that. To Shane, we'll want to swear you into office. And I guess I'd say that nobody can really swear at him until he's been sworn in. So maybe that, you get is it too? Oh, is it? Okay. So we'll want to swear Shane in, and I guess, Mayor, I look to you for some direction on this, but if Shane would like to have some family involvement in that, and we can wait and do that. Well, we can do it right now. We can swear you in right now. Is that what you'd like to do? Okay.
Okay.
Do we have that language?
That's like when Kevin didn't ask his wife about being on planning commission. Maybe Carrie wants to be here.
He said, too late. Okay, have you got me,
We'll go grab the language.
go grab me language, and we won't close this meeting because
Good, we can keep talking.
or do we need?
No, we can keep going. Yeah, you want me to string
Well,
it out?
go
or-
ahead, you got the mic, go talk all you want.
Dale and Kent were talking to me the other day, and they prepared a special musical number.
I think Whitney wants to talk about the Youth Arts Festival.
Oh, that would be even more appropriate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Come on up.
But after
Happy to
Whitney,
talk to us.
Dale and Kent are going to sing Country Home. They're going to do a rendition of John Denver's Country Home.
Take the mic from Seth.
Right? Well, and I'm going to have to give you a shirt now. Good thing I brought extra.
When is this? It's going on, right?
This is going on right now. It ends the 18th, so this Friday. And so I'm giving you an invitation to the art show.
Thank you.
The play. And I'm really, really sorry you didn't get to come and sample cupcakes this
We
year.
are too.
But because of
No.
COVID, we aren't having.
That was a fun day, wasn't it? Do you remember? You do?
Picture still.
We aren't having the
It's good. That was
Great.
good.
What's next?
2X. Do you have a 2X?
I should.
All right, I should.
I
Good.
grabbed a bunch of different sizes.
If not,
I haven't. Oh,
oh, there you go. Thank you very little.
all right, what's next?
Let's go XL, please. Unless. Whitney.
Well, you get one when you come and judge the cupcakes.
Yeah.
I'm still in our meeting.
Because I don't have.
Oh, sorry,
Yours
Mayor.
also might say teacher.
Okay, that's okay.
Is that okay? Because, yeah, I have a couple of extras.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Medium, if you have.
You need a bun.
Whitney, that was very kind.
Just remember your mics are hot.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
It's been a fun year.
Thank you.
Yeah. Coming up here or going down there?
No, he's, Tara's doing it because the fun won't let me.
Bond won't let you.
All the ones I've done before don't count. Yeah, you guys are illegal. All right, let's go ahead, Shane. You want to come up here? Tara Silver is our city recorder. She will swear you in, and after, come right up here, she'll tell you what to do. Look at, yeah.
All right, you're gonna raise your right hand. You're gonna repeat. I, say your name,
I, Shane Marshall,
having been elected
having been elected
or appointed to the office
or appointed to the office
of City Council,
of City Council,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey,
obey,
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Let's just all come down here. Let's take a picture with all of us. No one seems to be there. Okay. All right. How's that? Beautiful, Mayor. You do individual? All right. Hey, Brandon. Guys, hey, Chad. Let's close this meeting. I entertain a motion to.
I move we adjourn.
Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, second by Councilman Mendenhall. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. You got it.